Cold water fish. Hey,
now that fish doesn't know better.
Hey, I'm Bob Murray. This is Delaware Valley Outdoors. I'm here with Blaine Mengel. It's cold, it's March, but we're catching fish. Hey, stay tuned. It's going to be a good one.
Delaware Valley Outdoors, your best source for fishing information on TV, radio, and the internet.
Well, I'm here on the Delaware River. It's, we call it late spring, early winter, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's awful cold.
Yeah.
I'm here with Blaine Mengel from Backwoods Angler. Blaine was crazy enough to invite me out to do some cold water smallmouth fishing.
You got it.
And Blaine, we're out here. It's, what's the water temp?
It's running in the low 40s. We might get as high as 45 today. Had been higher. It had spiked up higher into the upper 40s about 3 days ago.
Right, we're at the end of March. It's quite cold out today.
Yeah, it is. It's
and
rough.
a lot of guys don't really fish this type of bait that we're fishing today. Give us a little background on the hair jig that we're fishing.
This jig I'm fishing is a hair jig. Now, hair jigs can be made out of a couple different types of materials, hairs. They can use bucktails and deer hair and all kinds of marabou, feathers. This is a rabbit hair jig. It's a Millennium jig by Don's Handcrafted Jigs. What this does is, in the cold water, when you throw plastics, plastic falls faster. It falls a lot faster. This hair jig, it has a slower, more finesse type of a fall. When it gets to the bottom, that hair on that rabbit, that rabbit hair just kind of pulsates. It just opens like a pom-pom and pulsates, and it almost has a lifelike quality. And you can fish this bait so slow on the bottom, and it entices cold water smallmouth better than any other bait I've thrown.
And you caught fish, what temperature? As cold
Down to
as?
35.
Yeah. And so it really is a really cool bait. Now, color-wise, what do you suggest this time of year?
It depends. If you'd asked me that a year ago, I'd have said black straight up. This year, the olive green one's been real good. So I throw black, brown, and olive green are my three choices as far as the hair jigs, and they'll all catch fish.
No, you use hair jigs as the water gets warmer, or you go to something else then?
I will. I'll go to tubes more once the water warms, because the fish get a little more aggressive and they don't need quite that finesse type of a presentation. But when they're not on plastics, the hair jig's the way to go. Yeah, they'll eat a spoon on occasions, but it's too tough to fish a spoon in the river.
Yeah, yeah. And
you know.
One of the things that you got to mention here is that we're fishing with a lot of junk under the water too. And when we're talking about presentation, explain how that jig falls, but how to fish it back to the boat.
Basically, we're targeting areas that almost look like carpy kind of areas.
And go ahead, I'm stuck, so you can talk about this.
Carpy areas tend to have soft bottoms. Soft bottoms tend to have a lot of loose tree limbs, and you know, you'll lose a lot of pieces of trees and things like that from washouts. So what we're doing is we're fishing this jig on the bottom. I'm letting it free fall. I want it to free fall because it allows that jig to just fall, you know, and have that slow, deliberate, fish can't stand it presentation. And then what I'll do is I'm not moving that jig more than 6 inches to a foot at a time. When it's on the bottom and it's hopping, and you're going to get stuck on logs and trees and rocks. But
that's what you want to be doing that. If you're not doing that.
Fish are on the bottom. They're not going to come up and eat buzz baits and jerk baits and top waters when it's this cold. You know, now this is, again, the end of March, so if you're fishing at the end of February, you're going to have to take it into consideration. Light penetration is key too. That'll get these fish a little bit more apt to eat. You have a higher light penetration in March than you do in February, so they're going to eat this a little bit. It'll be a little bit better as far as your bites. You know, you'll get a few more in March than you will in February, but it'll catch fish right through the winter.
And the bite, it's going to feel just
mushy.
Just mushy.
We call it mush mouth type of bite. It's like grass. You'll feel a little bit like, almost like grass, like when you just had that little stick with a leaf. That's exactly what it'll feel like.
Yeah, all it was just a, just that tightened up.
Just wait.
And then that's it.
And what'll happen is you'll be hopping the jig and feel a little bit of weight, not sure, head shake. You better set it quick. You know, I'll tell guys, when in doubt, set the hook. Don't wait for the head shake, because once she shakes her head, she's probably going to spit it in about a second. Yeah, because she's felt the weight of the bait. If it's not a good hook, you know, you don't get lucky and get her, she's probably going to spit it. Now,
the thing is, you're always saying she. Why is that?
Most of your big smallmouth in the rivers, if a smallmouth is over 15 inches, 99.9% of them are females. So, and that's what you're going to catch this time of the year. Females need to eat more. They have egg development going on. They're going to need to eat a little bit more. Now that one, that first fish I caught, I think, was male. It was a little 13-inch, and she didn't have any little pack on her belly. But the females are starting to get some pretty good bellies on them.
And when you pick up a good female, I mean, they are just a big chunk in
they're
there.
like footballs right now. Yep. This is a 5 to 8 foot flat, soft bottom, comes out to a little bit of gravel and cobblestone. In the summertime, you'll get a little grass growth here. That's the kind of thing you want to look for. And the fish, we've been picking the fish up kind of on that, like I said, 5 to 8 foot drop. This is more of a taper. You don't have a very good drop off this bank. It's more of a taper, and they'll come out and they'll cruise this flat. They winter here, but they'll come in there, you know, to cruise that little flat. And we've picked up a few fish each of the last couple trips just cruising in here.
So they'll come out of this deeper water and then just come and go up on
this whole section is a wintering section.
Now, when you say wintering section, you mean that the fish will move from north and south into this area? Or?
They'll tend to, yeah. You come here in the summertime, you'll get them in 2 foot of water and flats and riffles and rocks, and they'll pick specific areas that have certain, you know, that qualify to them for their wintering areas. This is one of them. They like this area.
How deep is it out?
Well, it'll get as deep as 16, 18 feet.
Well, that's pretty deep out there.
Through there. There's a hole right down above the bridge that's almost 30 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of deep water here. You got an elevation change right here. It drops, and then Foul Rift is right below us. That'll jump 22 feet and a quarter mile, which is that's pretty significant.
It comes back up that much.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, the significance of just throwing these hair jigs is just to get them out there and just let them really.
Hair falls much more slowly than plastic. If you put hair and plastic in an aquarium, you'll see that hair just kind of pulsates, and it tantalizes them when it falls. I think that's the key to it. And then when it's on the bottom, it puffs out. You got that hair kind of puffing out. If you let that jig sit still on the bottom, it just has this like almost lifelike quality. It just pulsates down there. It's a good the best cold weather bait I've found.
Well, it's certainly cold weather. We can
it qualifies.
Test it at. And then you're just throwing it out there and just letting it sit and then shaking it a little bit and then dragging it, shaking it a little bit.
Very deliberately slow hop or you know, 6 inches to a foot is basically the length we're covering right now, because like I said, we had a little spike in water temps over the weekend. It came up into the upper 40s. I guarantee you it's probably 41, 2, 3 degrees will be about as high as we see today.
We'll be right back with more hair jig fishing right after this.
This is the hand that sows the seed, that grows the forest, that drinks from the stream, that hugs the mountain, that gives shape to the wind, that carries the kite, that is flown by the child, that is loved by the woman, that toils at the job, that gives to Earthshare, that supports the hand, that sows the seed.
All life is woven together. How can we choose which environmental cause to support? EarthShare, the workplace giving program, makes it simple by bringing the leading environmental groups together under one umbrella. Support EarthShare, and you support them all, including the hands that sow the seeds and protect the forests and the streams and the children. To learn more, please visit our website.
Refuse to be a victim, and we can help. Call now about the I Refuse to be a Victim safety course from the women of the NRA. It's not about guns or joining the NRA. It's about planning your own personal safety strategy. Call now.
Okay, Bob, we got a piece of concrete here. Concrete acts as a magnet. It's a brake. It creates a current brake, and a lot of times smallmouth will hang right on concrete, and you have deeper water coming up here, so it's a big fish magnet.
So the water will hit it and then just kick it out, and this fish just lay like along the edge?
They'll hang right off the edge or right on that current brake. If you see at the edge of the concrete, there's submerged concrete there as well. That acts as a brake, and they'll get right in. There's eddy there. You can't see the eddy on the submerged concrete. They'll be right on that current brake, even in cold water. That's where they'll eat. They'll hold less current. They'll eat with the current.
Okay, all right, look at this. Now what were you saying about current brakes and the top of that wall? This is a nice fish, very nice fish.
Oh, piggy! Bob and a piggy!
A nicey fish. You want to grab him for me?
Oh, I'd love to.
Come here, Bubba.
Don't do that. There you go. How about it, huh?
There you go. Now there is a hair jig smallmouth.
There you go. How about that, huh?
Let's just talk a little bit about what we did there.
We've been getting our bites as we get out of these holes. As the current, see the current's meeting up. We've just fished in the eddy, had one bite, missed it. We're coming down now. This current meets back up at the bottom of the eddy. That's where we're getting our feed and fish.
That fish, just let that sweep down there and
first cast.
Just come right out and then hit it. Nice fish, right in the top of the mouth. Look at that. That's a nice,
that's a
nice
beauty.
Fish.
That's a beauty.
Oh, I got a tap. There you go. There you go, another one. All right. I love it. I love it. Little tap, tap. That's all I want, baby. Little tap, tap. All righty.
Where'd you get that one on, Bob?
That hair jig. Okay, now, what you have, this is what a Millennium jig, right?
That's an 1/8 ounce black Millennium jig. What I do is I tip them with a Zoom skinny chunk trailer to give them a little bit more profile.
And one of the things I noticed, you have it's the red hook.
That's a red Daiichi hook. Yeah. Don makes it with a red hook. He makes them with either a red or a bronze.
Now another one right off of that, right as it shallowed up again. As it shallowed up again.
It's amazing.
Yeah, good little fish. All righty. Another little.
Okay, what we got here, the deeper part of this hole, it's up to 15 feet up here. We're just starting to drift down on this shallow, rockier flat, and the fish will tend to sometimes want to come down on this shallow stuff to eat. There's a thump.
Blaine, what actually happened there? Was it out farther? I mean,
that was out halfway.
So how deep was that then?
Where are we? We're 9 feet. She was about 5 feet deep, 5, 6 feet.
That's a nice fish.
That's a better one. Nice fish. Good thumper.
On that hair jig. She got a little belly on her.
Yep, she's starting. See that?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's starting. That's not from eating.
Yeah.
They'll get in and get a good. They'll want a good fast meal this time of the year. You know, so they'll come in, they'll eat one good big meal, and then they're going to go wherever they're holding.
Still a pretty color of that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, wintertime colors are nice.
Yeah, I love that.
Go home, baby. That was your boyfriend in there. Bob caught the male, and I got the little female.
And again, we just moved out there a little bit.
We got shallower. We fished a deep hole. They're down at the bottom on this. This is a rocky cobblestone type of flat here. There's actually some bigger boulders right in here.
So they've actually moved from that deeper water where we thought they were going to be out to a little bit more shallow.
And that's pretty typical. They'll hold deep and they'll hold, you know, with less current speed. And if they're going to eat, they're going to want to come out in this kind of water.
You can hear the beep a little louder.
The Jakes program has helped me so much in the outdoors.
For a long time, I didn't even know what conservation even was. I want to do my part for wildlife. I love being a Jake. Whether you hunt or not, the Jakes program has something for everyone.
I know I'm doing my part for wildlife. I really believe children hold the key to the future of wildlife.
And NWTF believes it too.
That on the ground, huh? Oh my.
Each year, thousands are senselessly killed by people with no criminal record at all. People like you.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Blaine, we're at the tackle box section of the show, and well, it's a pretty simple tackle box we're going through for today. The jig you told me about, Bob got to come try this Millennium jig. Tell me just a little bit about it.
The jig, it's a rabbit hair jig, and basically he makes it. Don Pfeiffer from Don's Handcrafted Jigs makes the jig. He makes a couple different styles of hair jig. The reason why I like the Millennium jig is because it's the rabbit hair. And two things. When it falls in cold water, the fish aren't going to move around a lot. They want a finesse bait. They want something slow. So that thing falls at a much slower rate than plastic. Once it's on the bottom, like a bucktail just kind of mushes up on the hook. That jig puffs out at the bottom and it pulsates back and forth in the water. You know, and the more current you have, the more it's going to pulsate. It attracts bites in cold water, whereas plastics and other baits won't.
Well, we know that. Okay, colors. You have the black, and you tip this with a black.
A black skinny chunk. You can throw a little, any kind of thin or skinny type of a plastic chunk.
One of the things too that we want to mention here is that it's on this. It's getting popular now. These the red hooks.
Yeah.
I mean. You can get them either way, right? From Don, but well, I caught him on a red hook today, so I'm going with that. And the black, and then you have the olive.
That's olive with a green pumpkin trailer.
And that we caught fish on that today too. These are now this is a quarter ounce probably.
That's a quarter, right? He makes them in an eighth and a quarter in the Millenniums.
And we were using the eighth because we didn't have a lot of current today. Right. And and then this color here.
That's brown with just a regular simple brown skinny chunk trailer.
I know one thing you mentioned too that we just didn't catch it on camera, but if these are dry, What happens when you put them in the water?
There's so much oxygen and air gets trapped in them. They actually, if you just lay it on the surface of the water, even with the lead head, it'll float until it saturates with water. It's unbelievable. And then when you drop it in, you can see the air bubbles coming right out of it.
And you showed that to me today. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the three colors, and this is the type bait that we really you'd recommend for what water temperatures?
Well, you can use them right through the year. They have positively the best bait for catching fish in that 35-ish to 45-ish, say.
And our water temperature out there today was
42.
42. So
yeah,
it's a good cold water bait. Yeah, you can use
the best I've come up with.
Yeah. Okay. We also we caught them on a tube today.
Yeah, we caught a few on a tube at the end. Yeah.
Okay. Let me talk about this jig hook or tube hook that I have here. Give us a little bit about that.
That's a Mismo Insider hook. It's got a way. It's a Texas rig style hook up on a tube. You can use an insert head, and you have a weed guard or no weed guard. That kind of makes it. It's a different fall, slightly different fall. It'll fall in a dart, and it doesn't get snagged as much because it's got that kind of Texas rig style. You can actually bury the point as it comes out the other side.
Yeah, they're that way. And all this, you just slide this little point in through the tube head and then pop it back out. And
at an angle at the top, and then it pops it back out.
Okay, and your tubes that you like?
Mismo tubes, Mismo Bait Company. 4-inch big boy tube.
And we caught fish on this today.
Yeah,
colors for this time of year. With this, don't forget, this is late March.
Yeah, you could use 4 colors throughout the year out here for these smallmouth. Green pumpkin of any kind, green pumpkin red, green pumpkin brown, a natural crawl color, smoke red or smoke purple, and black and muddy water, and you'd be set.
And that's it. But this is, I like the tube too. It's nice.
It's a good tube. But they're very durable too.
Yeah.
They don't fall apart. They're
a lot of salt on them, I can tell you.
Yeah, a lot of salt. And they bake fish attractant right into the rubber.
And that's the baits that we had. Now, you know that if I have to come here, I got to throw a spinner bait.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to throw a spinner bait.
Why not?
I brought my Dostine red bait today, and I had a fish pull down the skirt.
Yeah.
But we were so enamored with this that I really wanted to fish this. But you were out there just a couple of days ago, and with the spinner bait. Now I like the red because it is my preference. But you were catching them on a white and chartreuse bait. You recommend that too for this time of year too?
Once the water temp gets up a little bit and they start, two situations, either higher water temp, 45-ish or bigger or higher, or if you get high water, they'll eat it. You can catch them 38, 40 degrees on higher water with a spinner bait.
We talk about high water. Tell folks you want that water up into the trees.
Absolutely.
That's what you want when you say higher water.
Anything that'll create a current break
and
becomes an area for a smallmouth to hold.
You know, every time I go out with one of you guys, you always come up with some gadget, some little thing that keeps you guys as guides, you know, that way. Tell me about this tool you have here. What's it called?
I just picked it up. It's called a D-barb. Excellent tool to have on your boat. I used to just use a plain wire cutters for gut hooked smallmouth.
Okay, what happens is the fish takes the bait down deep, and you got to, the wire, our side cutters all the time, you got to try to get down in there. Explain what happens when you use this bait, this tool.
Well, basically, you just follow the shank of the hook all the way down to where it meets the tissue of the smallmouth's throat. Put a teeny tiny bit of pressure on it. It cuts. It's got a diamond blade there. It cuts the metal of the hook, and then there's a set of magnets in there that if the hook point, if you push it enough, the hook point will come out the other side, and the magnet will pull the rest of the hook right out.
And you don't have a fish swimming around with the hook in it. And I'll tell you what, as a guide, I'm sure this comes in real handy with a lot of people.
I don't even use a needle nose for gut hooked fish. I don't even pull a needle nose out of my bag.
And the magnets hold the little hunk of
works
hook
like
on
a champ.
And pull it out. Hey, that's a great tool.
Saves fish.
Yeah, it does. That's what we're out
And
there
the two I've used it on so far to try it out, not a one drop of blood. The gut hooked fish, they don't bleed. It's tremendous.
Well, I think we did a good job today. That's a tackle box. I think we can go fishing some more.
All right. That fish was up a little shallow.
Yeah. Yeah, a little thump. Woo! All right. Come here, sweetheart.
Little male.
Yeah. He thumped it, though, pretty good. Blaine, I want to thank you for putting me onto these fish. Hey, you got to come out here with Blaine. Cold water.
Cold water.
Hair jigs, smallmouth. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. I'll see you again on Delaware Valley Outdoors. Hey, don't forget to go to our website, DelawareValleyOutdoors.com. Fishing reports. This guy writes for us. Hey, I'll see you on the water. Ooh, I love when pen comes together. I love it. Ooh, yeah, baby.
If you would like more information on how to get a copy of the program you just watched, go to www.DelawareValleyOutdoors.com for more information.